Hello everybody, it's just Eamon519 here, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new MiHoYo game, Honkai Star Rails. It's been out for about like 10 days now, so I wanted to give my thoughts, and for that I brought a special guest over.
Hello.
It's my friend Matt, GG Matt. He will be linked in the description down below as well. He makes a lot of fun gacha game content as well, if you guys want to go over and check him out. We have a few things we want to talk about, but we're first going to start off with some introductions. So Matt, introduce yourself.
Hello. I'm Matt. Some people know me as the Pokemon Masters guy because that's typically what I do. I try to inform people, beginner stuff, endgame stuff. Try doing solo content stuff, but yeah, that's typically what I try and do. I've been playing this game for about as long as I'm on. I'm a little bit lower rank, but yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this topic. So
we actually, this idea of the podcast came to my head recently because I was actually streaming, and I was like chatting with Matt in the Discord, like through text, about an idea, and we'll talk about the topic later on in the video. But like, let's just say it got so interesting that he just jumped in VC while I was streaming, and it's like, now we're talking about this now. So
yeah.
we are.
That was purely intrusive thoughts. What if I joined him into? Oh, I clicked it.
And you can always use your intrusive thoughts around me. I'm perfectly fine with it for the most part. All right, let's see. So we have. Next up, we have initial impressions. So how about you take it away? What were your initial thoughts when you first saw the game, and then when you first started playing it?
When I first saw the game, okay, I had a lot of thoughts. So with Genshin existing and all that, and my gripes with it, but then on top of that, seeing that it was turn-based, it was speed-based, my first immediate fear was Epic 7 Horse. Was Epic 7 PTSD. So I was like, oh god, is that what this is going to be? Like the next Epic 7 with a Genshin style / title.
Could you imagine Epic 7's like speed necessity with Genshin's relic substat system? Wouldn't that be fun? We would have infinite endgame content with grinding relics. Yeah, no, I was pretty heavy in Epic 7 back in there. All the speed tuning, all the gear refinements, I did all that. And I can confidently say, I don't want to do that again. So, I was so skeptical to try out this game because of that. But then what actually got me into the game was, so another friend of mine, Sly, he showed me a leak for a character who I really liked from the original Honkai. Let's get one thing out of the way. This leak was like way before we even had a release date for the game, by the way. Oh, yeah, and he liked this. Yeah, right. We're not talking about any like recent leaks before somebody thinks that they know who he's talking about. You probably don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This is like way back. It was pretty much a Honkai character coming into Star Rail, which, shocker, they have a bunch, and it gave a description of the outfit. And it was the effort that got me into the original Honkai for a little bit. I'm not that far in it, but I played for a little bit, and I was like, when does this come out again? So, yeah, I downloaded it, tried it, but then that would be current impressions, so on to you with initial. Nice.
Alright, yeah, for me, initial. Now, when we initially saw that this game was coming, I was not that impressed. Like, honestly, as a veteran gacha player, I can say with confidence that Genshin was never really... The standards I had built for gachas, Genshin just didn't meet it. And the whole relic system, especially with the lack of auto and the resin system, I was just not down for that. I didn't enjoy it all that much. But I did enjoy Genshin as the concept and the gameplay initially, and the cat. That's the thumbnail right there. But overall, I was not all too, like, you know, excited when I initially started looking into that. Now, I started looking more into Honkai 3rd and Honkai Impact over time, so I got more excited, but, like, until, like,
2 days until the game released, 1 day before the game released, when I saw you and Sly talk about it on Twitter, I forgot the game existed. And then I was like talking with Matt on Twitter in like one of his posts, and then randomly Sly replied to it and was like, yeah, but did you know that Honkai Star Rails is coming out tomorrow? And I was just like, wait a minute. I've never been so happy to not been taken out of the mention list in a Twitter thread that I wasn't a part of. So, yeah, it was... I came home very late that day at like 6 p.m. I had a long school day that day. And after calming down a bit because big debate stuff at school, and I ended up booting up the game, I was in love. Now, my favorite game, one of my favorite games of all time, definitely the game that I put the most amount of time in without multiplayer, is Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. Both I did 100+ hour playthrough of. One I did 2 playthroughs in. And the gameplay style reminds me of that a lot. It's obviously much more simple when it comes just to the amount of actions you can do. But I instantly fell in love with it. The story was nice. And I didn't know it at the time because initial impressions, I'll still say like the first day of playing. But the humor in the game really made me laugh. And I was not ready at that time to see how funny this game actually turned out to be.
Yeah.
Alright. So let's go into current impressions next. So how... I'll take this one away. How has my current view of the game changed since the initial start? Now, let's get one thing out of the way. I love this, and this is probably my favorite gacha to date. Now, will it stay that way? I don't know. You know, we're right now in the honeymoon phase. We'll have to see how stuff goes. We have multiple topics later on in this podcast where we will be thinking about how future potential new modes will impact our enjoyment of the game. But I love how your Chrome key kind of still takes away chips like around your head, but the cat is just perfect HD.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no,
Look.
he's just chilling. Like I'm holding my arm up now.
It's so fun.
Okay.
Make sure he doesn't press your off button again on your PC like you did that one time.
Yeah, that was this one. That was this one.
Oh god. I adore
my
you.
computer.
Your cats are great, man. But basically, for current impressions, the humor on the game, I gotta say it once again, this is probably the best humor I've ever seen written in a gacha. I have never seen another gacha game have humor of our generation nailed this properly. It's actually insane. Might also be the fact that it's a lot of direct translated humor from the Chinese version, but you can definitely see some like the group chat and all that. It is so well done. I don't even know how to go about explaining it, but absolutely top tier. Gameplay, I am more happy than I was when I initially started. Honestly, with a grasp on the gameplay now and the stuff that I am finding out, together with people from like multiple discords like my own, Matt and Mike have a discord as well. Was a Dragalia discord, it's now kind of a everything discord. Now that Dragalia's gone.
Yeah, I mean, we had to adapt, but yeah.
Indeed, and you did that very well. And in there I talk a lot as well, so if you guys want to chat with us about this game, I'll link both discords in the description down below, if I remember to. If I don't remember to, please yell at me, so I will remember. But yeah, we talk in there a lot. We discover a lot of stuff like, for example, break effect, one of the substats, how that worked. Now, that was a fucking maze and a half to figure out how that thing works, because the description and the words and... Yeah. It was a journey. Current impressions as well. Gacha. Oh my god. You know what? We'll save gacha for after current impressions. We'll both talk about that after this. But I've gotten really lucky. I have half the 5 stars in the game right now, and I have a dupe in Sela, so overall I'm very, very happy on that. And I have been streaming this game like crazy. First day was 5 hours, second day was 8 hours, third day I streamed this game for 11 hours, to the point where my PC wanted to restart the stream because it was like, hey, can I cool down a bit? So yeah, overall I would say I am very pleasantly surprised, and I've now finally gotten to proper endgame where there is fuck all almost left to do, so we're gonna see how my opinion changes over the next week. Your current impressions, take it away.
Right, yeah, so I need to get up to 40 myself, but I'm at 38 right now. I could probably hit 39 if I do like everything. But yeah, current impressions, I think the combat, I love how the combat felt right from the start. Being able to steal turns with ults, like I love that kind of stuff. speed bar is not at all what I thought it was going to be because of how action value works. Speed is just a factor, not the sole factor, which I love. Like, humor, as you said, on fucking point. I think it's amazing. Like, I love how the community kind of made MC a trash goblin. I think it's hysterical.
It's not my type of humor, but I can definitely laugh at it. Also, the fucking, sorry to interrupt you on this, but like the emotes that they use on their phone group chats. Oh my god.
Yeah. So many of them are amazing.
They are. I want them.
So typically, like, fantasy and technology don't really mix with me. If I go for a fantasy game, I go for more of a world like Genshin, where it's like magic, still buildings, but not like a lot of technology. If that makes sense.
They don't try to explain to you how everything works in a way where you'd be like, oh, this could work in real world if we had the magic sources, basically. Right,
but this game, it has a magical train, a magic school bus's cousin. It has a space station. Like, typically this wouldn't be up my typically this type of world would not be up my alley. But it is.
It's all like, thanks to Pom Pom, obviously.
Like, I'm fine with it, which is very rare for me to say when it came to something that I wouldn't be fond of. But yeah, I actually like it. Well, like, the space station is my favorite area.
Yep, same for me here, but just because of Pom Pom. Honestly, I love Pom Pom so much, man. I've literally made a post every day on Twitter about just new animations I've seen Pom Pom do.
Yeah.
It's great. So, I'm gonna put a new topic in between this and current impressions and the next one, which will be gacha. How has the gacha been treating you?
Okay.
Here we go.
It started strong. I got Sela on my first multi, and her cone on my third on that banner. So 4 multis into the game, I already had her with her cone. So I decided to say, okay, I'm gonna go for E1 Sela, just because the extra crit rate means I need to build less crit rate and invest more in crit damage, break effect, things like that. So technically speaking, it would be a gear requirement lowering. So that's my logic behind it. Standard banner has not been going too hot. I did get Japard's cone. I've been using that on MC. I got Welt, but then I lost my 50-50 on Sela's banner for the E1 with another Welt.
Yep,
So,
yep.
I'm not complaining about the dupe, because reading it, it's a good dupe. I'm more so complaining that it's like, okay.
You wanted a new character.
Ooh. Yes, it's like, why am I already pulling dupe 5-stars when this is like my third 5-star in the game?
Yeah. I feel that. It can get annoying on there, yeah, no. It's the same thing with me and my second Sela, because for those who don't know, it's actually an insane story. I pulled Sela, and then I stopped summoning, and then like 2 days later, my chat told me, do another multi. I'm like, fine, one more. And then I got another 5-star. I was like, it's fine, just don't give me a dupe, right? Because I was already I didn't think I would win that 50-50, right? I was already fully in my seat of like, I have lost the 50-50, but I don't mind because I want Bronya. Give me Bronya. And then it turned out to be Sela again. I just lost it. Yeah,
that's what I want, Sela. So bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bronya.
No. Okay, gacha
Same
for
thing,
me.
I want both, but still.
Yeah, gacha for me was so I didn't know that the starter banner gave you a 5-star at any point in the 5-star pool guaranteed, and then it's done. I thought it was like any you get is like a freebie, and the guaranteed one is on the final multi always.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sean
not the case.
Experienced the same thing. Yeah, Sean experienced the same thing. He got his bio on multi 3, and he's like, oh, so I get 2 here. Wonderful. He didn't get one on the 5th, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I kind of get it, but like, come on. I basically from that got Clara on my 5th one, and at first I was like, who is this little gremlin? And then I absolutely fell in love with her character and with Mr. Svorok. Those two are absolutely amazing duo. Like, I literally went from who is this little gremlin to meeting her in the story and going, holy shit, it's Clara. After that, I ended up summoning on obviously the standard banner with the standard tickets because you can't do anything else. But I ended up summoning for Sela. On my second multi, I lost the 50-50 and I got Japard, which was really nice because Japard is a goat. But if you have him, be happy. Holy shit. Now, I was actually kind of disappointed because I was using Herta a lot, right? And she was like, oh my god, she's so good, 5-star. She runs through every content in the game. She's so good. I don't want another 5-star ice character. Don't give me stay away. I want other elements. So when I got Japard, I was like, oh great, I got this guy. And then I actually used him, and I am very happy about him as a character. Next up, I pulled my first Sela on the banner. And then either I pulled my Sela dupe or I pulled Bailu. One of the two happened. Because I pulled Bailu from the basic banner, from the hard pity, I'm pretty sure, or the soft pity, one of the two.
Right.
So I don't remember which order that happened, but it happened. Alright, so gotchas. Next up, we have our ups and downs, right? Now, Matt has already kind of seen the points we're going to be making later. For a quick reminder, we're going to be talking about the future of the game. After this, but so far with what we have discussed, right? What are our biggest ups and downs? You want to take it away?
Yeah, so ups, I think the weapon system is a lot better than Genshin, and I've been informed on stuff that changed my opinion a little bit. That whole conversation we had yesterday regarding... Right, yeah, because I didn't know Genshin had that system.
Yeah, it didn't initially have that system. Matt's impression was still very much on like Genshin's initial weapon system when the game first came out.
Obviously it's the most direct comparison you can make. It's the same company, the UI is the same, the buttons are the same. It's like almost one for one the same game, but with improvements. So if I start comparing everything to Genshin, it's the easiest comparison to make, so just don't take it to heart. I'm not bashing your favorite game. I really don't care what game you like.
I am, but for the sake of the video, I will not.
But yeah, so I didn't know that Genshin had the 80 pity as well.
Yeah.
But to my knowledge, their problem was that they always had 2 weapons. So you weren't guaranteed once it wasn't a pity. In quotes. Yeah.
Basically, we would have both preferred a spark system, I think, in that sense, that you could like pick if you won the 50-50 or 75-25, whatever it was. You got to basically pick whichever one of the two you wanted, or you got to like how Princess Connect, or like I don't know if Princess Connect did it that way, but it was like you get to pick one of the 2 characters at the beginning, and if you reached a certain pity point, you would get like free dupe materials for them, right? And it will only be for one of them, but you got to pick beforehand when you start the banner which one of the 2 you want to build up for. Right. So something like that. But yeah. So any other ups and downs?
Right. But yeah. So to finish that thought, comparing the 2 systems. Like I originally walked into this with like, oh fuck weapon banners and all that. This system I like a lot better, so I'm willing to let it exist.
Right, yeah.
I like it a lot better.
I'm personally not going for her comb, but it's because I already got like the 5-star one from the Herta shop with like a dupe or 2 in it now, so...
yeah. Right, see, I want to walk away from this with character Cone. Seeing how early I got both, it's like, okay, I might as well just get the extra crit rate, so she's easier to build in the long run.
Are you still going for that dupe?
I am at 43 pity.
Nice.
And I have a week left, so I'm sweating a little bit, admittingly enough.
You got it. I am right now building up actually for the next character. I don't know if you
I saw... do know who it is, yes.
Yeah, no, but like I don't know if you saw the equip piece that I got, but I got electric damage helmet piece.
Right, yeah, I was reading that a little bit.
Yeah, with like attack, HP percentage, crit rate, and crit damage, all from like 0 upgrades. I'm losing it. But yeah. Any on the top? Any tops though? All right, no, that was a top obviously, but I mean, any on the downs for the game so far? Anything you were disappointed by?
The most that I can think of is similar AR blocks to Genshin. That I was like, okay, do these feel as bad as Genshin? No, but they still exist.
so it's a downside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another downside that this isn't like set in stone yet, so this can easily change for me. But just looking at it and knowing how Genshin did it, I need to know if they're going to be a little bit more light-handed when it comes to fuel. Because the recharge time is a little bit faster in Star Rail compared to Genshin.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like stuff is cheaper.
Yeah.
Standard-wise. But I just need... I would love to know how heavy-handed they're going to be when it comes to giving out fuel.
Yeah, agreed.
I would appreciate that knowledge. Like, events, I could see them giving out, like, 3 per shot.
Mm-hmm.
Just as an example.
Yeah.
Adding them into other places, because you can easily push a few more into the simulated universe. You can push a few... I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but yeah, you can push a few in spots where you can, like, scrunch the rewards a little bit and just put, like, 2 in.
Every
consistent source.
Yeah, like every road has their own little shop that you can use materials for. Maybe put a few in there, you know, like 2 in like you get 2 in every road in their shop. Yes. Something like that. That would be nice. Something
like that. And because there's a bunch of side quests as well, you buy up the shop, but then they're just sitting there stacking up. Maybe it could be a monthly restock of fuel in there.
That would be nice. Yeah, that's one of the things I also worry about. What resets every month? That is a yeah,
exactly. So it's just something that I've been thinking about. I need to see how that goes, but I could see it potentially being a problem in the future and almost falling into the same trap as Genshin, where it's like you log on for 10 minutes, you auto everything, and you log off.
Basically, yeah.
So I don't want that to happen. So I just think getting more fuel from other sources will be a way to get people to play for longer.
Indeed.
But if you want to play for 10 minutes, you can. If you have a day off and you just want to play the game, you have all this fuel now.
I think especially now early on, because it's like if we get to the point where we have unlocked the 7th or 6th difficulty of the relic farming stages, I can kind of see why they want to be a bit more stingy on fuel because of the amount of relics you actually end up getting per run. But especially with most people being still on stage 2 or stage 1 or stage 2 on it, right? You know, where you unlock the 5 stars. I do think that we should be getting more fuel, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, for me,
yeah, this is something I purely need to see how this game lasts, like 4 or 5 months from now. So this is me definitely being early with this, but it's just a thought that I've had in the back of my mind with all of it.
Yeah, no, agreed. For me, it's like the ups for me. Let's start off with the happy thoughts and end up with everybody becoming sad. The gameplay absolutely outstanding. I love every piece of it. I love the way characters interact with each other. I love the purposes. Another up is the way that they have balanced endgame currently. You have like a Hall of Mirror or like Infinite Hall or whatever the whole thing was called that is in the Express itself. That game was extremely fun.
Memories, that's it.
Exactly, yeah, Hall of Memories, thank you. Absolutely amazing way to do it, making it so that you get more rewards with stars. It's basically, in my opinion, a better version of Genshin's Abyss system, because the Abyss system in Genshin had quite its issues, but with this one I feel like you can manage a lot better. I don't know, I'm having more fun with this, let me put it like this. I think the turn-based thing feels a lot more fun than it did with like a timer that was constantly breathing down my neck. Of course, Universal, the simulated universe, absolutely amazing. And with all the layers of difficulties that we can unlock later on, and the fact that the weekly rewards get better depending on how far you are and how many worlds you have beaten. Honestly,
I actually just learned that, and someone just pulled up this chart yesterday. It goes up to level 40 when it comes to the rewards increasing.
Okay. Well, in that case, then
no, it's either that or that's all that people have done for now, and whales aren't at that 50 point yet.
Yeah, most likely not.
But yeah, when you reach rank 40, you get a lot of stuff. So I need to see if they increase, but I don't know if any whales are at that point yet.
No, because even with even by spending jewels, you only can get so many stamina refreshes a day before it like caps you out.
Oh, they capped it. Okay.
Yeah, they capped it. Don't ask me how I know this because I did it, but we're not gonna talk about that. But I didn't cap it out, by the way. But I did like.
Well, that explains a few things.
Yeah, I didn't cap it out. I'm not a whale, but I did it like 1 or 2 refreshes with it, and then it does say like because it gets more expensive with every refresh. The first is 50, then 75, then 100, and eventually it would just say you've done enough for the day. Go outside and touch grass.
Got it.
Yeah, but that like I love the way Endgame is basically built right now. I do hope that Hall of Memories eventually gets like higher difficulty versions or gets like a reset, because right now those first 15 stages, the first 15 stages are a very big range of difficulty, stage 15 to stage 1, and the reason why that matters, or a very short range of difficulty, right? So there's a huge leap from 1 to 15, but I think what I'm trying to say is that if we go by the same like increase in difficulty as they're doing from 1 to 15, even if they add more stages, at some point we won't be able to keep up, and that would be really, really early on after they started, because like stage 1 is like 35 and like the final stage is like 67 or like 73 or something like that on the character level. So I do hope we get like a reset for it, where they change the elements and maybe the enemies and the things that they do like every month. We need something with it, because while I do love Hall of Memory, it needs something to keep it fresh. Simulated universe, like I said, I don't see anything wrong with it at the moment, right? I absolutely adore the way it works. And the only thing I would say is give us in the monthly thing, if level 4... Oh, hold on one second. If level 40 is really the limit for our rewards, give us like 2 Hetrus like Hertus ticket thingies, please. Like instead of 1 every week. At least I'll be able to buy something.
Right, yeah, honestly, based on that logic, I can see them having it past 40, and 40 is just how far everyone is right now because of that stamina cap, as you said. Because I didn't know that was a thing.
It is, and yeah, no, I agree. I also think that's the case.
I can totally see them going all the way up to the 65 cap, which is the max world level at the moment. Ooh. I can see that going all the way up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would indeed be quite nice. I can't wait until the whales reach rank 50. We can get some more information on what the next step will be. But then we get to like and one more thing I want to say about the ups. The way the story is handled in this is for me way more enjoyable than it was in Genshin. Genshin's story, and yes, this will be me shitting on Genshin, I apologize in advance. Genshin's story was the biggest snooze fest I have ever seen in my life. The first times I actually enjoyed the story was the beginning of Mondstadt, because honeymoon phase, new game, fighting the Fallen, I'm pretty sure his name was. That whole part was absolutely great. I loved it. But everything from after that part with Venti and the Fallen, everything from there until the last quarter of Liyue was a snooze fest. Like, I was asleep for most of it. I wish there was an auto button to play the game for me entirely at that point. But the last quarter of Liyue, that was fire. Now, Inazuma also a very big snorefest for me for the most part. Like, a lot of people liked Inazuma in the beginning when it first came out, but that was primarily because they were deprived of content, honestly, for such a long time. But I'm hearing, I heard people...
Inazuma sucked.
Yeah,
like, I played through it all, I read it all, I had like 3 accounts in Genshin, so like, the lore for me when it comes to Genshin is, on the surface, it's very, very anime, very vanilla, but when you peel back the layers, that's the stuff I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you peel back 5, 6 layers of typical anime, emergency food jokes.
When you pull out the microscope, yeah.
Yeah, that's when you get to the stuff I was interested in, the stuff that I was reading into.
Yeah.
But yes, I understand why playing through the game on the surface level, you would be bored as fuck. I fully understand that.
Like, I've heard
me as well.
I've heard that the world after Inazuma, there the main story is a lot more like better according to a lot of my friends. So, but I'll have to see, because I don't even know if I can go back to Genshin to finish Inazuma of all things.
I'm not either, but no, I was watching my little brother play it back when it came out, and it is handled a lot better.
I have heard from a lot of my friends as well. A lot of my friends did tell me like Inazuma was also a bit of a snore fest, which is why I kind of didn't want to continue that. But they did say that the new world is really, really good, and they are actually attached to a lot of the characters. So I'm like, okay, if I ever come back to Genshin, we might give it a shot.
Supposedly, the problem with the end of Inazuma was a writer change. So some of the writers were swapped out, so they had to quickly put stuff out.
Well, I mean, that's fine by me. I mean, Inazuma was a snore fest for me even before the ending, so I don't really mind it either way.
I mean, it was all... So if Mondstadt was, like, up here, right, for the audience, it was, like, up here.
Yeah?
Yeah, so it was, like, up here for Mondstadt. Leeway coasted around here. Inazuma a little bit higher than just... drop.
Yeah.
At the end, yeah.
But basically the point I was...
you can feel where it drops, too. You can feel it, and it fucking sucks.
But yeah, what I was gonna say is that, like, I think Star Rail learned from a lot of them, because that's the whole thing with Star Rail, right? Everybody agrees. A lot of the feedback that Genshin has gotten, Star Rail has implemented. Right? And
I'm convinced Genshin was a beta.
I am highly convinced. I am still convinced of the theory that, like, Genshin is basically just a cash grab so that they can make more Honkai games. Because,
I would fully believe it.
Because they're like, oh, well, okay, we're not gonna fix this stuff on Genshin, right? Because people will spend money anyway. Because that's the gacha mentality, right, on developers a lot of the time, especially developers in the eastern parts of the world. It's, hey, why should we fix this stuff and increase quality of life often? They will do it, obviously, in general, but often, if we can also, if they are gonna spend money on us anyway, right? Which I feel like that's what Genshin basically is to them. But the thing I wanted to get to with this is that Honkai story really learned from the errors of Genshin's, and you just go straight into it. Characters get a lot of personality and a ton of interactions in fun and efficient ways, right? There isn't like a ton of like, oh, here is 15 side quests that don't give you any summon material at all. Have fun. Right? To learn the characters. Everything gave every side quest almost gave summon material, so you were incentivized to go do it. It's gotten to the point where I have even memorized some of the random people on the ship that will never be playable characters. I remember some of them. There was like a side quest where this like really high ego guy with a fan club, and the side quest told me go watch basically his fans get their heart broken, and I had the biggest smile on my face because I was like, yes, this guy's gonna lose his fans.
I know exactly what quest you're talking about too.
I had the most sinister laugh on my face, but that guy was just some random dude in a lab code.
I was like, huh?
I was really excited by that, and like in the final world, right, and this can be seen as a semi-spoiler, but like I won't go into too many details, but like there is a part of the story where you follow one of the main characters in his own thing, doing his own thing. I won't go into too much detail, but you'll basically go seeing like like the same time frame that you were doing one thing with your main character, you then get to see and put into the shoes of another character of your crew and seeing what they were doing during that time in the world in a different location. And I think that's extremely fun because it's a great way to experience the world as well. Like areas you unlock that way that you can later come back to and explore with everybody else. Like in general, I had a lot of what the hell? Who wants? Oh, somebody was like trying to message me. Get out of here. I thought that was an absolute great way. The same way how we went through the ships area and did all the ship things. That was also. I just feel like we got straight to the point. I feel like I'm more immersed. I can't even fully explain it, but I just feel like it handled the story a lot better. Now, of course, on the downsides. What you talked about what was it that you talked about again on the downsides? Now my brain is forgetting it.
It was specifically that it was kind of like future playability consistency in terms of falling into Genshin's model where you play for 10 minutes and you log out.
Exactly, yeah. Now, I do also think on the fuel system, I do wish we got more. I do wish there are more sources of stuff to do. Now, I do think that they can easily, fix that. And it isn't even a bounce back because it is completely realistic that the way that the game is now for the first week, it's completely realistic for it to be that way, right? But I do hope for the future's sake that we will get some more stuff to do in the game. Speaking of future's sake, that's the next topic that we're going to be talking about for the game. The future of Honkai Star Rail and what does it entail for us. Now we have a couple subtopics here we want to talk about one by one. I'm going to swap two of them. I'm going to basically push two of them together. Co-op and events. Right? So me and Matt, the topic we were talking about earlier, where Matt joined my VC while I was streaming, this was actually what it was about. So co-op, right? So basically what we got to with co-op is a bit of back and forth on the idea, but we want co-op to be implemented into this game. Now, how should it be implemented? Now, first of all, not like Genshin. Please, not like Genshin. I do have my own ideas that they can make one change to Genshin's co-op and that would fix it and would make me come back to it and probably play it quite a lot. But we're not talking about Genshin here, we're talking about Star Rail. How would I want them to implement co-op? I want it to be a raid boss system. So what I want it to be, let me clarify because there's a lot of ways you can interpret that. I want it to be how Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross did it. So what you would do is you would have one big boss in the center, right? And 4 people would each bring their team of 4 characters, and the boss's health bar and like buffs and debuffs thing is shared. However, everybody is fighting their own unique AI instance. So it isn't like the boss will only attack, for example, Matt and me, and the other 2 characters don't get hit that turn. The boss will do a unique individual attack for each of us. Right? So that we all get like challenged to that to some degree. Else one person could just bring taunt and MC and march and just stay alive while we all bonk them in the face a couple times. Right. So that was the general idea that we had. Another thing we went on is that like it should be monthly. So every month the co-op boss should change. Right? Or at least frequent enough. And I initially wanted 2 weeks, but Matt brought in a good point. Obviously, people would need time to, 1, get it down to what will be the meta for this boss. 2, would need some time to actually build up their unit so they can fight the boss. So yeah, a month would probably be the best way to do it. And what I mean by changing bosses, what I want them to do is I want them to make bosses so that players have to adapt their playstyle. For example, the first boss can just be a general one, right? You break him with type advantage, and then you will on him, and then you break him with type, and you know, just the standard combat loop we've been used to all this time. However, what I want them to do for later on is, for example, a boss that has very huge defense, but is extremely weak to damage over time, right? So either you can debuff the hell out of his defense to the point where your damage works, or you can spam damage over time on him, which he will then be weak to. You can have other ones where he gets a defense stack and an attack stack every single turn, right? Which isn't that big of a deal until you allow him to build up, right? So you would bring debuffers, so and people who can remove buffs off the enemy, dispellers basically. That kind of thing you would get. Maybe then a boss that is only weak to one type and has very high damage resistance against every other one. So people would actually have to bring supports and like fire DPS or lightning DPS. Like I think a lightning DPS boss right now would be really fun because everybody would bring Serval, which would be hilarious.
Yeah, right.
Spamming
yeah,
shock.
And considering we're getting more lightning characters in the future,
that's
a thought. But yeah,
indeed. But yeah, that's the type of stuff they could do for co-op. Now, obviously, then comes the most important thing, right? What are the rewards for playing co-op? Because I ain't playing that shit for no reason. Like, let's get that out of the way right now. Like, I enjoy playing with my friends, but at some point, I also have enough of them. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, like at some point co-op can get boring. So what do I advise the following. They just have an exchange shop. Now I initially wanted a loot box system, but Matt came with the idea of an exchange shop, which in my opinion is way better than the shit I had in my mind. So yeah, we would have like an exchange shop, and you would get materials from the boss, and you'll be able to exchange them in the exchange shop. You would have 3 runs a day, or like 3 runs a week that are like or 3 runs a work week that are like boosted runs, right? That can give you special drops, right? So you have 5 days to do those 3 runs. And with those special items, you can get stuff like even more stamina, because I hope stamina is in the normal part as well. But like you would get like the stamina flasks. You would get maybe two premium summon tickets and maybe 4 basic summon tickets. Something like that would be huge. That kind of stuff you could get, like high rarity XP books, items, credits, please. As somebody who's finally getting to work on 5-star relics, please give me credits. I got really cocky by having 1 million and they're gone almost instantly.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So something.
Now in fear of that.
Yeah, and then me and Matt were thinking that then on the weekends, you could get like double drop rates, so people can have time to catch up. And the reason why I was saying that like do the 3 special drops only on the work weeks is so that the weekends can have their own unique 3 special clears for the special rewards, right? So that way, you know, you can, because like a whole week, you want to incentivize people to play, because if you don't do it that way, right, you don't have to, but you could fall into the loop where people will only play on the weekend, right? Only play on the weekend. And if you then make it so that there's so much to farm and get from the exchange shop that you want to farm more than just the weekend, then you're losing the point, because the whole point of the double drops on the weekend is to help people who are too busy during the work week to actually catch up. So with this system, you would kind of incentivize people to at least do 3 runs on the work week and 3 runs on the weekend.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's what we're thinking.
Anything extra you do would be entirely up to you.
Basically. And of course, we would want it to take no stamina. Please. Like, co-op and stamina is a bad combination because it's a limited amount you can spend, right? So you would very quickly run into the issue of, hey, there's no one to play with.
Yeah. Right, yeah. The only way to make that work would be if you give virtually an infinite amount.
Yeah, if you go like a Dokkan or like the Grand Blue Fantasy type of route where you have like 1 billion fucking stamina things. Well, yeah, so like you could do that, right? If you have like its own thing, or you can make it that the 3 special runs that you do are free of stamina and the rest. But either or, please do not make co-op require Star Blaze power. If you really need to make it stamina based, give it its own unique stamina, right? That we can farm so that, you know, when we have cleared out the shop, we can build up for the next co-op stage, or we can save it up for the weekends, you know, if we need to. Maybe we can't clear the full shop, you know, but we can at least clear the important items. Fair enough by me. But like, don't make it take Trailblaze power, because the game mode will be dead on arrival if you do that. It will just be dead, because no one will be willing to spend all that on it. But yeah, that's basically what we would like to see. Make it so that they reset frequently enough, like once every month. Make it so that they actually incentivize people to build new units and try new tactics, right? Make sure that we have an incentive to farm, give good rewards, and please make, if it needs to have a stamina system, do it properly. I beg. You have anything else to add on to that?
No, yeah, you pretty much went over everything, but yeah, I can see them doing more lore-based events where it's like specific characters, similar to some side stories. I can see them doing the co-op event, as you mentioned, where they're very long-running events, and are meant to be harder fights, but not like quite on the par of what. Well, granted, you can auto-simulated universe, because Mike just autoed World 6 yesterday, like 4 times. So it's possible to auto this stuff, but like something like kind of Hollow Memories difficulty as well, where you are incentivized to try new things, different teams and whatnot, and multi-team content, and just like shifting in that general area.
Yeah. Now another way
that's kind of the goal behind this.
Yeah, another way they could do co-op, and that's something that we also discussed, was how they handle events. Now, me and Matt have been chatting about this. We are very curious how they're gonna handle events, because events could be one of the biggest it cannot break the game, but it could definitely make the game a lot better if they handle events well. You want to go ahead and have a go at this one?
The best way that I would describe it. So Genshin's events don't take stamina.
Right.
They do something similar to what some side quests do, where it's different
where it's different puzzle types. Like for example, there's cycles with the mine carts.
Yeah.
I found that a lot of fun. There are some events that are like that.
Same.
They have challenge events, kind of where they give you where they either let you use your own characters, or have like a specific pool of characters to pick from, and you beat stages with them, and you have to optimize your use of the characters amongst like 5 or 6 different stages, I think it was.
Yeah.
That one could be a lot of fun as well, where you make preset teams, solos, duos. You can decide how to do them. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So like, I think that they're literally gonna do Genshin's events, but I don't know what people's complaints about Genshin's events were. So I don't know if there would be improvements upon that. I don't know, but just like everything else, that's what I could see them doing. Just Genshin's system, but a little bit better.
Right. And I'm just gonna cut a piece of my face cam off here. There we go. Yeah, I agree. And the thing for me is I have a whole different view on this, and Matt knows this. The way my fantasy view on how they handle events for me would be the same way that like World Flipper does their events, where the event is 3 sections. The first section is story, so you do story, some story fights, etc. Right, you get through that. The second stage is the farm stage, where you just farm a boss. Now in World Flipper, the farm section where you can just keep farming a boss over and over again is stamina based and co-op based. Right, so it would be cool if that was co-op, but I feel like I would rather have a separate unique co-op mode like we discussed earlier, and events just not having co-op at all. But it would be a stage that you could like infinitely farm, right? Or you could farm it like 3 times a day each difficulty and get the materials for it, but just don't make it require stamina. That's what I'm saying. And then you had the final section, which is probably the thing I really hope they implement, which was called solo bosses. So solo boss challenges had 2 difficulties, right? And the first difficulty was for medium players, right? It's a stage you can do once a day. It was for medium ranked players, and they'll be able to beat it with their free-to-play teams, or with their slightly less built team, not up to date. And then you had the second difficulty, which was the extreme difficulty, where you would need endgame teams basically to beat it. It would be like real difficult stages, another one clear a day thing, and they would give you really good materials and drops and all that kind of stuff, because they were 1 clear a day. I hope we get something similar in this game, where it's just a really like 2 really difficult stages, one more than the other, to give you a ton of good drops, but it's once a day. I feel like that would be really rewarding, and it would also be a very easy to access fight for newer players to be like, okay, this is what I want to work towards. This is where I want to be.
Yeah. Right,
but
yeah, and Pokemon Masters has a similar system where every event has challenge stages. Some of them are to a higher extreme. Those are extreme battles, but that's a different story. Most people probably don't know what I'm talking about. But then there are the challenge stages where if you beat them with certain requirements, certain team tags is what they were called. So like you would have like you would have Kanto, you would have Johto, beat this event with two Johto trainers, and you get a coin, stuff like that. So you could probably kind of incorporate that system, but it's more similar to what Amon's saying, where there are challenge stages that you're able to do.
All right.
With every event, so it's still challenge content on a consistent basis as events come out. That's the thinking behind it.
Yeah, basically. But like I just want events to be fun for us, to actually be playable content for us, not just something I cruise through within a day and then not need to look back at until the next event comes out. Please actually make the event be playable for a good portion of its runtime, and not just for a day or 2 or 3 max, right?
Right.
That's the main thing I'm worried about. Now, next thing, story in the future. What are your thoughts about how the story will be done in the future? Now, you can take this however you want, whether you want to make story predictions or whether you want to say how they're going to handle how much story they're going to drop at a time, because we know that like how much story Genshin drops at a time is, while it is quite a lot, it is like a very long period of time between the story drops.
Yeah.
So I would like to try to avoid spoilers if people care about it, how far they are and whatnot. But so just for reference, like so I'm just gonna state the facts, not story based. The current block is 34. That's the last block of story, and World 2 is not done yet.
Yeah, the second world or the third world if you count the ship, but like you know.
That was the tutorial.
That was the tutorial.
Space Russia was World 1. Space China is World 2.
Basically,
I will not call them by their actual names. Just Space, whatever country they're based off of.
Wow. Okay.
I can't be asked. I really can't.
Fair enough.
So I can see the next bit of content dropping with 1.1 being after whatever being after the second banner. So from what I've noticed, there are going to be 2 banners per patch. 1.1, I can see them finishing Space China.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the current banner system 2 per patch, because it's good, but it would basically mean that we would get a patch every 2 months.
Right.
Which will be interesting, but we'll see how that goes.
Right.
Yeah. No.
And then eventually, as we were talking about yesterday, I can see them doing Genshin's rerun system in quotes, where it's 2 banners per thing, so it'd be 4 per patch. So
a new character and a rerun, basically.
Yeah, or sometimes even double rerun if it comes down to it. If we're at that point in the game's life.
Yeah, I feel like we would need a bit of a bigger box, but yeah, because currently there is like 5 summonable 5-stars in the game, including Sela.
This is like a year and a half down.
Yeah, this is a year and a half down.
Easily. But I can see them doing it 1 for 1, or maybe even a little bit better, depending on how they want to work it, based on how things are at the time, and make it work.
How should they handle, in your opinion, the cones? Do you think they should put the 5-star cones on the character's banner itself when they rerun, or do you think it should be a whole separate banner?
That depends on how it would work with the 50-50.
Right.
Because if you throw something else in there, you have the problem that Genshin's original weapon banner had, where it's not a guarantee.
Right.
So I do think separate would be the best way to go about it. Then you just pick and choose.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
That might be what people have to do.
Okay, especially since
because the second you combine the cone banner and you combine the character banner, you run into that problem. But I do like Genshin's system of where the pity, if you were to go on 1 banner, that pity would work with the other banner as well. So let's say you won your 50-50 on this banner. Okay, your 50-50, you get your 50-50 on this banner.
Yeah,
or you lose you
get the guaranteed
here. You're guaranteed here.
That the pity like carries over, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. So that's like the big saving grace for all of this. But yeah, I could see them doing it pretty much the same way.
Right.
But
yeah.
I don't know how they would make it better. I would need a lot more time to think about it, sit down, see how the game evolves and things like that. But that's my current thoughts on that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, agree. And like for the thing for me story-wise is that like I don't think half a world, if they're gonna do that, I don't think half a world every patch, every 2 months is like enough. If they maybe do like 1.5 worlds every patch, that would be nice, because basically right now we have 1.5 worlds to start off the game with. We're not counting tutorial. So if they finish the second world and then finish the third world in the next patch, but of course they also cannot do that, because like at some point banners have to catch up. There's no way that like 2 banners between worlds is enough to get all the characters that you were introduced to in that world out of the way, right?
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's how Genshin started as well. I played in the second beta, and that's how the beta was as well. Like it was all Mondstadt, part of Leeway, then they finished up Leeway. So I can see them following that almost 1 for 1. And maybe they'll understand the critique that people want more content per patch instead of just a bit of story. Maybe like 3 or 4 events and done. Maybe they'll actually understand that people want more than this. They want more stuff to do, so we'll fill that in with other things.
Right.
Hopefully they'll do that, and that'll be one of the critiques that they take and improve upon.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see the story bit not changing in terms of releasing.
Right. Yeah. Ah, man, like that's the issue with releasing one character at a time, which is good because if they release two characters at a time, we would have an issue again. But like, it's just that it's gonna be difficult for them to keep up story wise and banner wise, even though we want more story. So maybe they can compensate that with events, right? Maybe the events can be the drops and the side story and all that we need while we wait for the main story stuff to drop. Like I know in Dragalia we got events so often, right? That you weren't even bothered by the fact that it took a long while for like the main story to pick up, and when we got it, it was a little bit because the events were basically extensions to the main story's universe and frequent as hell. So I hope we get something similar to that. I hope there isn't like a... Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, on that note. So I can unfortunately see events being slower at first.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we get a bunch of... Then we get a bunch of events in like a backlog.
Mm-hmm.
I can see them doing reruns. Being one of Genshin's prime complaints. In terms of free weapons, if you miss the event, you miss it.
Right, yeah, I definitely...
can see them doing that with... I can see them giving out free 4-star cones and being like, okay, that is now back.
Right.
You can now get this cone again. If you have it already, congrats, you have a dupe for whoever.
But yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I can see them filling that space in the future with reruns. So at the beginning, we might encounter the same problem. But once again, that year and a half line, I can see them start to fix that with rerun events.
Indeed, I do hope. Or, of course, we could get an archive. That will be... Though I don't know if they are... Because that would be an insane of a boost for, like, new players, right? And I think that might incentivize re-rolling a lot as well. So I don't know for sure if they would really want to do that. But I do agree, rerun should be a thing. I do think we should eventually have an archive, but I feel like we should be, like, a couple years into the game before we get that, right?
Right, yeah. I don't know how an archive would work with this, because obviously... I don't know. I don't even think Honkai has that system.
No.
Genshin definitely will not get that system.
No.
They don't get reruns. They're never going to get that.
No.
But yeah, that's my thinking on it.
I think they should start doing archives by the time they're so deep into the game that it would be the time... like, take the time for the first event to come out and it's rerun. And then take that same time after the rerun, and then I think then they should be looking at archive. But for now, we still have a long way to go before that. Right. Yeah. So next up we have is balance and PvP. Now let's take the balance point first out of the way. What are your thoughts on how the balance is right now? Because as of this current moment in time, right, 4 stars are very relevant. Right? Yes. We can feel the clear power difference between 4 stars and 5 stars, but the 4-star supports are still... I mean, Ting Yun is absolutely mental. Asta's support and ability to break enemies is just crazy. March's potential, especially with like Flame MC and Clara, is just crazy. But on the other hand, we also then have characters like Sela who feel like they basically broke the game on release. A character who got nerfed during the beta, and then when she was implemented in the game was better than her pre-nerf state. So it kind of makes you wonder, how do you think balancing in this game will go in the future?
So currently everyone's going, oh, free-to-play units are good, 4-star units are good, and I'm like, well, we have a very limited pool, so no shit.
Yeah, keep going.
That is literally what I've told everyone. It's like, no shit. We're a week into the game's life. Of course, everything is gonna feel relevant to a degree.
Right.
So as we go on, the ones that excel, as you said, Ting Yun, she is someone who will probably last very well in the game's life, similar to Genshin's Bennett. Bennett still used to this day. Ting Yun will be that same example. Other 4 stars, for example, Zhang Ling was very good on release. Others are probably going to fall off in the long run. Like, honestly,
Asta will probably fall off very quickly because her support is good and her break effect is good. But the second we get like a single target, but like the second we get a single target, I don't know. I don't think she'll get replaced because she has some stuff in her like skill tree thing, whatever the hell it's called. Yeah. No, not even the ultimate. It's that she like
talent.
not her talent. It's like below.
Yeah, I forget what's
below cone. It's like below cone. Well, whatever it is though. But like she basically has stuff in there that's like, oh, fire enemies on my team get permanent attack buff. Like they just do more damage. So I feel like Asta will probably fall off until we get like an insane fire DPS, at which point she'll be making her return. But I get what you mean. Like March, for example, March is good, but March's like shield is not all that insane. All right, like as somebody who has Japard, because the thing is she can like increase aggro on other characters and that's good, but like Clara already has that built in, right? So sure, it will add on to that, but at the end of the day, it's still RNG. If the enemy doesn't want to attack Clara, they can decide not to, right? Even though there's a higher chance that they will, if RNG lands the wrong way. It isn't taunt. If it was taunt, we would be having. She would be good for a long time. Flame MC doesn't need it because Flame MC gives himself shield. It gives himself damage reduction. The insane thing about March is her ability to also cleanse. But like right now, we only have like 3 cleansers in the game, I think. Like we have
Natasha. Right. I haven't actually checked, but that sounds right.
We have Natasha, we have March, and let's leave a 3rd slot at random. Maybe Bronyo or somebody. I don't know. Somebody maybe has the ability to cleanse, or maybe on dupes. But
I haven't checked dupes that through, so I can't comment.
Yeah, so at most we have like 3 cleansers right now in the game. 2 of which are free to play, which I am really thankful for, by the way, that they're free to play, because if Bailu was a cleanser and Natasha wasn't, I would be having an issue with the game right now. I have her, but I would still be having an issue with their decision. But that's basically how I see that balance-wise. But let's get back to the topic of Seela, right? If we look at Seela, and how insanely busted she is with her ultimate damage, her ability to do more attacks, her built-in crit rate on her first buff. What are your thoughts on the future of the game? Because we have seen beta footage, and the next DPS, I have seen people in the beta doing like 1 million damage with him on ult. Not even on his ult, on his what the hell is it called? What Herda and Clara's count as follow-up attack. His follow-up attack is basically a free attack. And he did like 1 million damage with it across 2 enemies. So, what do you think the balance of this game is going to be like?
I can see, obviously, 5 stars power creeping 4 stars. That's inevitable. But in terms of like a character, so Seela, single target quantum DPS. She probably will not age for the next 4 years.
We'll see about 4 years, but I can definitely back you up in the next 1.5 years. I can definitely back you up.
That I can definitely see because you have roles and you have elements.
Yeah.
And on top of that, their own unique niche in said role.
Yeah.
So like Nihility is the easiest example here because it's debuffing. You can have a lightning Nihility that debuffs defense. One that debuffs attack, one that scales off said debuffs. So that's like 3 in the same role.
Right, yeah.
Each of those can take like 8 months to release in between each other because you have to worry about the other elements and the others as well. So if they play their cards right, characters can spread out in terms of relevancy over a long time. DPS will be king for a while.
Yeah.
I can see that. So when you pull for a character, investment is justified because you like that character because they'll be in that role niche and they'll be there for a while. That's how I can see it.
Indeed.
Now, if we're talking about not challenge content based balance and we shift into the next topic, I have a different opinion.
Okay, we'll get to the next topic in a second. I want to quickly give my thoughts on the balancing on this. So I do think 5 stars will power creep the hell out of them on DPS side, probably on support side eventually as well. But what I do think is that 4-star supports, especially like even Asta, who supports in like breaking enemies with fire weakness very quickly, very efficiently, and her passive attack. I do think that they will last forever, because even if we look in Genshin, you will see that a lot of 4 stars are still used to this day. Now, do know that's also usually because of elemental reactions, right? Right, if it wasn't for elemental reactions, a lot of 4 stars in Genshin would not be used, and elemental reaction is something this game misses out on. But instead of that, in our game, the roles in Star Rail, the roles are a lot more important, like you said, right? They serve a lot of purpose and they're extremely important. So we're going to see how that. Oh, that's where it was. We're going to see how those things end up scaling off each other. But I do think that 4-star supports, especially, will be relevant in the game for a long time. And I do like how characters like Serval, for example, are actually built to like damage over time, which is great because like Virtual Universe doesn't care about how much damage the unit does on Nihility, for example. They just care that you can DOT.
Yeah. Right.
So,
yeah. So actually, your 4-star example made me think of another point. 4 stars in this game, I think, will dictate if people summon for specific 5 stars. Because if a 4-star that's easier to get has a specific role, as a 5-star that's coming out is obviously an improved version. If you don't like that character and you're comfortable with sticking with the 4-star, you can skip and be fine.
Yeah. Like, for example, something you could put in that, let's say we got a 5-star version of Ting Yun, right? Not literally Ting Yun, but a 5-star that does what she does. She gives, on her ult, everybody 50 extra ult points and everybody attack up. It's nice, right? It is. But you can skip because, like the 50 extra ult on everybody is very useful. It is very nice. But you could hypothetically skip that because you mostly... It's enough to put that on your DPS, right? And don't get me wrong, it sounds busted as shit, but you could say, you know what? My tanks, my supports, they are able to get their ult up fast enough for me. I don't have an issue with that, right? And my Ting Yun gets her ult up fast enough for my DPS as well. I don't need to summon on that, right? Exactly.
Yes, exactly. So I can see 4 stars, like, despite being power crept, being a sole argument whether 5 stars are summoned for or not.
Exactly. Like for me, for example, I right now save for the next banner because I want new pool of featured 4 stars. I have a copy of every 4-star that's featured on Sila's banner, and I have Natasha maxed out. So like for me, it's just like give me
my hook's almost maxed out.
Your hook's on I have heard good things about maxed out hook, or at least high dupe count hook. I can't justify. I can't like prove that myself, but. If you max her out and gonna use her on something, do let me know how she does. Because I do adore Hook. Hook is adorable. I like her.
Will do. I think she's DOT. I'll have to reread her stuff, but yeah.
No, I'm going. She is, but I'm going to let you take the lead in this next topic. PvP.
My sworn nemesis.
I need some popcorn for this one.
Yeah, how do I start this? Okay, so 9 times out of 10, I do not like PvP in games. I think it is a very clear attempt at people getting to spend more. Whales will obviously run rampant through PvP, so there's no fucking point in trying, honestly. But there are some versions of it that I'm okay with, where balance is more tight, as in there's definitely more of a strict meta. And it changes with releases. Some games do patches where some are buffed, some are nerfed, things like that.
Yep.
But PvP. The way I can see this working in theory, the one thing it has going for it right now is my biggest fear when people are like, oh, I can see PvP with this game. When I didn't understand how action value worked was speed tuning. I mentioned Epic 7 before. I mentioned speed tuning. If you don't know what I'm talking about, do not fucking bother.
Do not bother.
You will waste countless hours
researching
in that
shit.
system.
Yep.
Oh my god. It is such a nightmare to speed tune stuff, speed sets, which I haven't seen a speed set in this game yet, unless if I'm missing it. Because I
have not seen
before.
I have not seen a set that increases speed, but speed does impact sets. Like there's a lot of sets that are like,
yes.
if the character reaches 120 to 145 speed, some say one, some say the other, then this other buff will trigger.
Right. Yeah. I thought I read something about it, and I tried. And before this, I tried to scroll through like a bunch of DMs I was having with people talking about Honkai, and I'm like, I can't find it. So I guess I just misread something, because I thought I saw a speed set, and that's where my worries started to come from. But if I'm an idiot, I'm just an idiot.
Don't worry, we all are from time to time.
Yeah, so I don't like real-time PvP. But this game, I think, can kind of work with real-time, because speed isn't as impactful, but then the meta would also get tighter. I can see it being an arena-like system, where it's you're fighting against an AI version of someone else's team.
Princess Connect, basically, right?
Yes, Princess Connect. Epic 7 has an arena mode as well as real time, so that's a little bit complicated. But yeah, I can see that happening. Of where at most you just have to build a different gear set for people, for like specific things, specific metas that arise from things, which can be a little bit tedious, but whatever, it'll give people more shit to do, I guess.
Oh, by the way, Matt, you can rest assured, I just looked up through all the relic sets. None of them give speed as a main buff.
Thank fucking God. Okay. So, if you guys know me and my likes in games, I absolutely fucking adore guild/crew systems.
Yes.
I think they're an amazing way to create content for people to get together, spend their time together, and just make their own little communities. I think it's an amazing way to promote newer players to get introduced to content just by joining a guild. You're able to communicate with people way more closely than trying to find people scouring the internet. I think it's way easier, way more streamlined. I'm all for it whenever they do it, and I think it can work very well with this game. So I can see Guild Wars. Very similar arena style stuff. You versus AI.
I agree. I do like the idea of Guild Wars as well. One of the ideas that we actually bounced in a stream of mine was that if they do implement co-op, they could maybe make it a thing that it's like the Guild Wars is the co-op. Like once again, like how 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross did it, where like every month you had like this PvP, this like big raid boss that you could do together with your guild. And everybody got to do like a handful of runs against it, and then all the damage would be tallied together, and then you would get like drops and rewards from it.
Right. People's problem with that system, I learned, was like how RNG some of the stuff was. So like probably just eliminating some of the RNG. Well, okay, granted that game you couldn't raise crit rate. This game you can.
Yeah, like I agree. I remember people.
So with that, I feel like it'd be way less RNG initially because people are fishing for crits the whole time.
Yeah, because I do remember in that game, it was like people were just fishing for crits to get the most amount of points. Because that was the thing, it was like points based. I think if you would rather just make it like damage based, like if you look at guild boss, like the guild boss equivalent in Princess Connect, they would have you just fight a whole giant row of bosses. And they had like 3 runs a day. And you could like do test runs to see if your team would actually do well, and then you could do like 3 main runs, and for every boss you and your team beat within the given week or something, whatever it was, or X few days, you would get drops. And if you logged in before the event ended, every time you logged in when a boss died, you would get like drops and all that kind of stuff. It would like be basically extra rewards for people who actually helped with the guild, or at least were active during the fight, and didn't just log in after all the things were done.
Right, yeah. So like bottom line, there's a lot of stuff that they could do with PvP. I cannot justify real-time PvP. I don't think it ever works. I don't think it's a good idea in the slightest. But if they were to do like AI equivalents of it, I think it could work very, very well. Like there's many options that you could do with it that I think would positively impact the game.
Yeah, I would not mind it if it was like the Princess Connect like AI PvP thing where you can set a defense team and offense team. My only gripe with The thing for me would be as long as they kind of try to keep it balanced, because there were like certain like comps, especially in Princess Connect, where you were just kind of like fucked if you weren't an endgame player yourself. But that's just the way of PvP, right? If you're not an endgame player, you try to get to the top, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's natural. So if at all possible, I would like to avoid it. But if people are dead set on it happening, that's how I can see it working.
Exactly. Like I'm not against PvP. I just need it to be properly implemented, because unlike co-op, see, like if co-op doesn't get implemented properly, who cares? You just ping your way through it and it's fine. PvP, if that's not properly implemented, that's an issue, right? Yeah. Because that could lead to frustration. That can lead to unbalanced bullshit. It could lead to the game being like Dragon Ball Legends, where the only real end game is like PvP. Which, once again, Dragon Ball Legends PvP end game I can handle, right? Because you can just play on the lower ranks for like a couple rewards, like 3 singles or something. By the time the season ends, and you're fine. But if you make it so that summon materials are only available when you get to the point where it's really actually difficult to fight, issue. Once again, if they handle rewards like how Princess Connect handles her, they're not gonna. There's no gacha game that is as nice with like PvP rewards as Princess Connect. Like none has even come close. Like you get rewards for rising in rank, and you rise like hundreds of ranks every time, because you can just fight somebody who is like 500 ranks higher than you, beat them, and then you're 500 ranks higher or close to it, right? And you would get like a ton of summon material, like a quarter of a multi or some shit for that. So I doubt that. If they do that, fuck it, I'm down for P. Make it as unbalanced as you want. If I get a quarter of a multi every time I beat somebody 500 places higher than me while I'm placed like 7,000, fuck it, I don't care. Go for it. I'll spend money to get the best unit and I'll go farm. That's fine by me. But if you're not gonna be that nice to me, don't do it. Don't implement such a system. But yeah, overall, I think we can both agree that PvP doesn't particularly have to be a bad thing in this game. It is just that by records of how gacha games work, we don't have a lot of faith.
Right. Because I've seen PvP kill games, implementations of PvP focus characters kill games. Like, I can name 2 off the tip of my head right now. One of the games isn't dead, but it's heading in that direction.
And which one is dead? And that just came to your mind?
So, Blazing is dead.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
But Blazing is dead. Even people say, oh, PvP didn't kill it. No, it was PvP characters. It was PvP rules. PvP killed it.
Yeah, and even for those who say, no, PvP wasn't the sole reason, you cannot disagree that PvP was a major factor in the end of Blazing. It was, at the very least, nicest put, a major factor. If you're denying that, then I don't know what the hell to say to you, but like...
Second anniversary was the warning sign.
Yeah, like
second anniversary wasn't the cause of it; it was the warning sign. PvP was the cause.
Yeah,
that's how I view it.
I didn't even play Blazing, but I had a lot of friends who did, and I was able to
streamed it.
Yeah, he did. He did. But what was that, before or after you dropped the name Gogeta? It was before, right?
Yeah, it was before.
You sound so disappointed.
I am. I was 14. I was cringe. Anyway.
Nah, the nickname was fine. It would have been cringe if you said something like Super Saiyan 5 Gogeta. If you said shit like that, I agree, it would have been cringe. But just naming yourself Gogeta was fine. You didn't actually put a cringe twist on it. That shit is fine.
It's something I don't look at with pride in my past.
I feel like that has more to do with the fact that you were 14 and less to do with the fact that you were named Gogeta. Because none of us look back at 14 with very fond eyes, I think.
I can't argue. Yeah, that's fair.
Like, same here, but
no. So the second one is actually Epic 7 still. Like how they implemented real-time arena where there's a pick ban phase and everything. I think that's really cool, but the problem is that their equivalent of LRs being Moonlight summons and Moonlight characters. Characters you can get from farming PvP stuff that are at a much lower rate, and I think a higher pity, but the pity at least transfers. I need to double check the pity. I'm not 100% sure about that. Those are the meta defining characters. Every time. Every now and then you'll find a good gen pool not gen pool, but like a good option. Some of them being co-op characters, like Rimuru was very good. I don't know if he's still good. I remember, I forgot her name. I think it wasn't Huang Long, but it was some Chinese-based character who was very good in PvP and Guild Wars and all that. She was busted for a while, like on release at the end of an RTA season. So people were like, oh shit, I need to get this character. Spent, farmed. But like, so the Moonlight characters are just absolutely busted for PvP and RTA, real-time arena. That is what they call it. Like, it was a problem for a lot of people. So as long as they don't go that route, in my opinion, it can't get much worse.
A bit of an off-topic thing, but when you said the LRs of, my brain was like, do you mean the old LRs or do you mean the reworked version of LR8s in Dokkan? And the thing is, I had forgotten about the old LR system until my brain said that, and I just got sent back to a terrible time in Dokkan. For people who play Dokkan and are new to it, for people who play Dokkan and are new to it and don't know the suffering that we had to go through back in the day, the first summonable LRs that they released were unfeatured on the banners they were introduced on. They were not featured at all.
Yeah,
so,
it's that system pretty much.
Yeah. So if you wanted to summon like Int LR Super Saiyan to go on at the time, he was unfeatured. The only banner he was featured on his release on Global was like a ticket banner, and you had a limited amount of tickets you could farm, and there was still a very low chance that you would get him, right?
Yeah, I got him off of the ticket. I remember that back in the day.
Oh, jeez, you lucky bitch. But
no, everyone wanted to kill me.
Oh yeah, of course everyone wanted to kill you. Have you seen how good that man was on release at the time?
Some people got super angry where it's like, dude, it's a game. Chill. Dokkan community has always been wild, but because the thing was, a lot of people underestimated that Gohan because they didn't realize how OP like percentage passives were on the characters with LR stats. Because I think I was the only one who actually told people, guys, you're underestimating how strong this fucker is when his details were announced. I think I was one of the only people.
Yeah, because like for the only LRs we had before that were like the free-to-play, I'm pretty sure it was like Prime Battle Frieza and Prime Battle Super Saiyan Goku, and they had flat passes. They would just have plus 20,000 attack. They didn't have percentages. So people were like, oh, look at these percentages, and then Gohan came out and everyone...
I was one of the only people who said, this fucker will scale very, very high.
Basically.
And like, not many people believe me.
He made it so like you don't have to bring a good team, just bring 5 orb changers and just run Gohan and one-shot everybody. Congratulations.
Yeah. So PvP balance, like as long as they don't go that route, it cannot get much worse than what's already going on in my head, honestly.
Exactly. I think
I've been through the ringer. I've seen shitty PvP,
But I think the main thing me and Matt would probably want for right now is them to add co-op in a proper way and handle events well. I feel like if they just can get those two down, this game will reach like peak of what it will. Because once again, Honeymoon Phase, it's my favorite gacha game to date, but still Honeymoon Phase, right? The only time I think I've ever enjoyed a gacha this much on release was like Dragon Ball Legends and when I first started playing Grand Cross. But like for Grand Cross, it's very like after a few months it like faded away and I kind of quit the game, specifically when Global came out. When Global came out was basically the nail in the coffin for me. And Dragon Ball Legends I still enjoy to this day, but nowhere near as much as I did on release. Not saying that it's worse now than it was on release. I'm just saying when a gacha is new and it releases, you will always enjoy it a ton because it's new. It doesn't even matter if it's good or if it's bad.
See, for me, I haven't enjoyed the game this much since actually Pokemon Masters dropped.
Ooh.
Those first like 4 days I was in pure bliss because that's my stomping ground. Pokemon competitive stuff, team comps, like all of that stuff is what I excel at. So I was one of the first people to figure out actual proper team comps and like building stuff. I was one of the first people to clear all of story.
Yeah. His guide content at the time was some peak stuff. I watched it, but like I was stupid, so I didn't follow his advice. Not because I couldn't, but because my brain too small for calcs. But at the time,
see,
I would have the damage formula on my PC still, like so, and this goes back to the whole event thing.
Mhm.
How they handled that first event broke the game for so many people.
Yeah.
And granted, this for Honkai, it won't break the game. But
Oh,
just
no.
handling events is so important because of how badly Masters fumbled it at the start.
Here's the thing, right? By the time the first event happens, they are going to lose a chunk of their players. And that has nothing to do with how good or bad the event is, right? That is just that people come out of the honeymoon phase and they will go and play other stuff again, right? Like, for example, I have played almost nothing besides Honkai Star Rails. Like, the first, 5 days that it came out, I didn't play a single other game. I just played Honkai Star Rails. And now that the game is, over 10 days old, we'll get more and more people, especially since vacation. There was, vacation time for a lot of people, right? When this game released from school.
Right.
So we're now going to get to the point where a good chunk of the player and activity of players is going to drop. The thing is, the event is going to dictate how big that percentage is, right?
Yes.
Because there will be a drop. Once again, there will be a drop for anybody who's looking at statistics worrying, oh my god, the game is dying. Don't worry, it's not dying. People are just going back to school. People have come out of the honeymoon phase. People are waiting for the next fucking banner to show up because Celia has been here for way too long, in my opinion. But for people who haven't pulled her, she's not been here long enough.
That's me. She's not here long enough. I got a week left to get one.
Yeah, you have a week left to get your dupe, man, but you got it. I believe you.
Yeah.
But
I'm nervous.
It's gonna drop. But this event will be like the staple. This event will be the moment people look back at it and be like, damn, they really fucking nailed launch, right? And continued nailing it. Or man, they really nailed launch and then it just went and then it just went Inazuma ending story just
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up as an example because that's where I come from.
Yeah.
But that's also the perfect example of how badly an event announcement / release can fuck up.
Yeah.
So I'm not nervous about this game at all. I'm not nervous about that happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so just an example of yeah, that happened. It's on the table. It's just towards the end of it. Is all.
Yeah. So now we got to the point where we're just going to be talking about some random things that have come to our mind, right? And after that, we will be ending the podcast. So one of the things I also wanted to say is, since we're already on the topic of bad stuff that is gonna happen, and it's not about the fact that it happened, but more how bad will it be. So the drop in players, how bad will it be? We can talk about another thing is another thing they can fuck up in this game is how do they announce stuff. I'm gonna bring up a topic, and I'm gonna need somebody to restrain Matt back to a insane asylum chair for me to talk about this topic. He already knows what I'm gonna talk about.
I actually have a straitjacket.
Oh.
I actually have a straitjacket for one reason or another. I will not.
When I come to America, me and Mike will be wearing the Plague Doctor thing. You can just wear that instead with a Plague Doctor mask on. Just no hat on. Just yeah.
Just a straitjacket. Hello.
Do you do the Russian dance?
Oh god. No, you can't see our feet right now.
But basically what it was is when Pokemon Masters introduced stamina. Now, objectively speaking, right, once again, I talked to this about Matt. Stamina was not as bad as people made it sound out to be. The issue is the way that they announced and informed the players about stamina, right?
Yes,
it was a complete and utter disaster. And don't get me wrong, whenever you implement such a drastic change as this, you are gonna get people who people are going to be crying, people are going to be upset, people are going to say the game is going to be dead. This is normal. It's to be expected. That's why I wanted to bring this up, because just like what's going to happen in a couple days or this week, people are going to drop in, the player base is going to drop, the activity is going to drop in Star Rail. It just depends on how big. It's unavoidable. You just have to see how much can you still catch with a net. The same thing was the case with Pokemon Masters, right? They lost a lot of people because they explained it so poorly. Because the thing is that even the people like Matt who were defending the system because they tried to explain to people it doesn't have to be bad, because of how poorly it was explained, he couldn't just say, look, it says here factually in fourth grade language that it will work like this, this, and this, and it will not be bad. Because even if you defended it right, the way the game itself described the stamina system wasn't with the guarantee of it will be good. Of course, if you had a brain, you would understand that. But a lot of people, especially when they hear 50 negative people around them and like 2 positive people, they needed to be put blatantly on paper. Hey, this is exactly how it's going to work. So potentially, if they announce like co-op, or if they announce, especially if they announce PvP. God forbid if they announce PvP and they word that shit poorly. Oh my god, that will be... I'm blocking the word Star Rail, and the only Star Rail term I will not be blocking on Twitter will be pom pom.
Yeah, but yeah. So unfortunately for Masters, that's not the first time that they've done that either, and I'll forever give them shit on how they word things.
Yeah.
We got a new bit of content. Trainer Lodge. It is essentially a dating simulator with some free stuff behind it, and I absolutely hate it. Like, they were as, oh, this is gonna be new content, you're gonna be able to do a lot of stuff with other characters, yada yada yada. It was a dating sim. And that pissed me off so much. Like, I actively hate them so much.
Because
like,
you were basically expecting something completely different, right?
I was hoping it'd be different. They didn't give us much detail, so it's like, okay, well, where can they go with this? What is this? I'm sitting here trying to grasp at straws. They do that, and I hate it. Like, they make you fiddle around. Okay, well, what's this mean? What's this mean? They make you figure it out. And if it's not what you expect, your expectations go down.
Agreed.
So, like, wording this stuff, like, I will forever try and be the voice of reason when something good or bad happens. If someone says something that's whack as fuck, I'll be like, no, here's how it is, here's why.
Preferably the objective look, basically.
Yes, I try to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Dummy it down to that 4th grade level. I try and analyze stuff to that degree. And a lot of people respect me for that. At least I hope so.
They do. I've seen the servers.
Some of the stuff that they do is like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah,
what made you think that this was a good idea? I have no idea.
Like, people need stuff chewed out for them, especially in these games, because you need to keep your consumer base happy. Now, once again, I have a high hope that Star Rail actually does do their stuff all the way properly, but well, we'll have to see how things work out for the future of this. I just hope it goes well, because I love this game. I really want it to do well. I want it to succeed, but at the end of the day, all the cards are in the hands of the devs. Or, well, the management also technically, but you feel what I'm saying.
Right, yeah. This isn't us doom posting. It's more like we've seen how badly things can go in the past once the honeymoon phase ends.
Yeah.
So it's not us, like, being positive or negative. It's skeptical.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, we've seen what happens when something good goes to shit.
Yeah.
How will this work?
Exactly, and that's what we're talking about. Because while we did talk about ways we want we want to see, we also talked about how we want to see them. But the thing is, for example, if they announce like, oh, here is co-op, but you're only able to do 3 runs of it a day, and here is the shop, and then they only show the premium items, they don't show the sub items, right? This could give the impression to people of like, hey, wait a minute, so if I don't do my 3 runs every day, I won't be able to get all my tickets. I won't be able to get all my summon tickets. I won't be able to get my material that I need to customize the main set of my relic that I can make. What do you mean, right? And that kind of stuff. You can very easily confuse people like that. Another example for it could be let's see. They announced PvP. Oh god, I can take a million ways how this thing can go wrong. But like they announced PvP, right? And they're like, oh, here is this really strong, unique item that will allow you to reroll a substat, but it will only be available through PvP. And then they only show like the reward for the top 1,000 players for each region.
Yeah.
And right, like that type of thing. Or they just straight up do not tell you how you can obtain it. That is anxiety driven. If they do not tell us whether it is AI versus player, if they don't tell us whether it will be attack or defense based, real time, or you know whatever the hell it will be. If they do not tell us how will ult order work, if we press ult at the exact same time as our enemy, who will go first, who will go second, will the ping decide? Like that kind of thing will be that kind of thing is those kind of things are the things that we need them to clarify for us. I said things like a million times, but that's the type of stuff that they need to clarify for us, so that we know what we're getting into, and we don't have a whole heist thing. Like I remember when Dokkan first announced Carnival LR, so was going to. And I won't go too much into it, but somebody who isn't really a leaker and doesn't really have the leaker mindset tried his hand at leaking the image of the new coin for the coin system, right? And they and this person, the reason why they are not a proper leaker, well, first of all, because they've never leaked before, but the thing is, if you're a leaker, you need to know what you're leaking and how much info you're leaking. Because the thing is, if you leak something, it will have consequences on the community, right? Like if I leak something and it comes out tomorrow, I don't need to give any kind of context. You'll figure it out tomorrow. Just shut up and wait for it. But if I leak something that will come out in a week and a half, right? And I proceed to not give any info about it, and it's something really, really vague that can be very easily misinterpreted, you'll just create a lot of haisa in the community, a lot of discourse. And that's basically what happened with Dokkan on Twitter for like a week or so. Everybody was just in absolute panic about stuff that in the end really didn't fucking matter, like at all, right?
I think I still have the word teal muted from that.
Yeah, fucking the teal.
I think I muted the word teal because of that. Yeah.
Like,
shit was so. I'm not even in the community, and that was flooded on my thing. I'm like, I don't need this in my life.
And that's what I'm saying. That's another example of like poorly worded. Because yes, this was an extreme case, but even with leaks, as you can see, you need to understand, if you give certain information out, how much do you need to give out to make the piece, right? Like, let's say you release a little bit, you might have to add a little bit more. Let's say you release a ton of info, you might even need to release double the info just to explain the initial part of it so that people don't freak out. And you don't want people to freak out because, once again, in Dokkan's case, if you release it a week plus beforehand, this info, or like 5 days or something beforehand, right? You will give people 5 days filled with negativity on their feed. And the last thing we want with this game is for the Honkai Star Rails community to be known as a negative bunch of people, and it turns people off of playing the game, right? We do not want that as a community. We do not want some giant discourse on Twitter because the game developers told us something was completely wrong, right? A whole community to look like a bunch of whiny babies to outsiders. People do not want to play the game anymore, and for what? Just because it eventually ended up being actually not that bad.
Yeah. Right, yeah, it's just... And right now the community is very skeptical towards leaks. It's like, okay, we don't know who to really trust. We have... We don't know if the Genshin leakers are going to be on board with this. How strict they're going to be with it.
I think the initial set of leaks are like semi-trustworthy, but just because how many different sources have said the same thing. But on the other hand, this could very easily be one source said it, and now a bunch of people trying to be leakers are making their own like little layouts with Photoshop to make it look like their own leak, you know. We genuinely do not know, and that's why I'm telling everybody, take it with a grain of salt. It makes sense, but once again, we have to wait and see, because the developers could very easily be like, oh, this is what they leaked, huh? Swap those two banners around, move this one to like 1.5, hey, you want Kafka? Oh, and this is an example, by the way. This is not what's actually in the leaks, what I'm about to tell you, but I'm just giving you a fake example. Oh, they said Kafka will be the third banner. Oh, okay, she will be the first banner in 1.1. Well, guess what? Kafka is gonna be moved to 2.6, and fuck you, basically. And they could very easily, because that's the thing you need to know about leaks. Even if they're accurate, it doesn't mean they have to stay accurate. We have had that stuff in Dokkan happen before, where stuff got leaked, and then later when we found out the leak was correct, it is just that the date of the thing got moved, not because it got leaked, because Dokkan doesn't care about leaks, but like not because it got leaked, but primarily because there was an internal decision Same thing with like there was like a Dragon Ball Super leak a long time ago, and I know Dragon Ball Super leaks, and don't believe any of them. I don't give a fuck who on Twitter says it. I don't care if like a voice actor supports it. I don't give a fuck if Geekdom supports it. I don't give a fuck if the random VTuber you follow on Twitch supports it. Oh no, this guy has a good record. We still haven't had. We have had a billion Dragon Ball Super 2 leaks, but like there was one leak, right, that somebody made about like. I'm pretty sure it was like the trailer for a superhero before we even knew that superhero was a thing, and it ended up being wrong. But it ended up being wrong because it was an internal change. It had nothing to do with the leak actually being inaccurate. But that's like another example of like a leak can be correct but wrong at the same time.
Right. Yeah. I think that was the only one that was actually like true. Every other one that I just happened to scroll by was like, that's not happening. That's not happening. No.
No, and even then, this guy could still actually be wrong and just got lucky for all we know. Like, genuinely, he could have just gotten lucky. A broken clock is still correct twice a day.
Yeah. But yeah, so like, on the topic of, like, leaks and people making up their own leaks, Masters, you see this around anniversary periods all the fucking time.
Yep.
I have seen, like, at least 3 different versions of leaks for every anniversary period. And people always ask me, is this true? Is this true? Only one of them was semi-believable for the last one.
I can't wait for the next anniversary to have Sigma, a Trailblazer with Mega Pom Pom as the character. Let's go.
But yeah, it was like semi-believable to the point where I was like, I'm half on board with this, but most of this makes no sense. And even like other content creators were making videos on it, and someone who the community knows has ties with the devs, outright said who they were gonna be, but posed it as a theory video.
Yeah.
Of where I think the whole community was like, dude, fuck you.
Yeah, it's
like that's scummy. Fuck you.
Yeah. A theory video. Oh goodness me, man.
Yeah, no. He said one for one who it was going to be and proposed it as a theory video. It was like 100% accurate. Like 2 days before they actually dropped. It was like 1 or 2 days, but it was like very close to that time frame. It's like, dude, fuck you.
Yeah, that's not fun. What the hell?
Yeah.
But
no, like, it sucks that they're the most popular content creator for this game, but it's like, fuck you. You probably don't know. Most guys probably already know who I'm talking about if you know the sphere a little bit. But fuck that guy. Straight up.
Basically, yeah. It sounds like quite a scummy thing. Yeah, it's fine. It's my channel. You're another
I'll
risk.
fucking fist fight him. I don't care. But
calm down. You can't say that. You know, some people on YouTube are crazy and will take that shit seriously, and then before you know it, you're in like a YouTube boxing context with KSI. So,
but yeah, no.
I mean, the money would be crazy, bro.
Hell yeah. But yeah, leaks can get crazy. I've seen like several versions of fake leaks, people trying to make their leaks seem convincing.
Yeah.
Very rare are they actually convincing. Most time it's people taking clout off of each other.
Basically.
So yeah, just leaks are very, very iffy right now on who to trust, what to trust. So everything should be taken with a grain of salt, like regardless of the game.
Yeah, and once again, like we said, even if it's accurate, doesn't mean it has to come true because we don't know how these devs work yet. So keep that in mind. But I think unless you have something that pops into your head, I think we've spoken on everything we wanted to say, huh?
Yeah, we did go through everything.
An hour and 42 minutes, and here I thought when we were like an hour in, oh, there's no way this is gonna come anywhere close to 2 hours, and here we are.
Yeah.
It's always fun though. That's the most important thing. Oh goodness me.
Yeah.
Well. We have discussed a lot of topics here today. On this, I don't have a name for the podcast, but it's just us two talking about Star Rails basically. But we have talked about a lot of topics today. I would love to hear you guys' opinions on it. Now, obviously, I know it would probably be too much work for you guys to comment down, type your opinion on everything. But let me know your thoughts, and if you guys enjoyed our little podcasting, our thoughts on it, and if you have your thoughts on any of the topics we spoke about, let us know in the comment section down below. If there is enough demand for it, we'll do another one. And that's a lie. I will do another one of these no matter what. Your input is completely invalid. Go home. No. Let me put it like this. If the video does well, I might make the next one sooner. How about that? Eh? It's based on motivation, after all. Obviously it will not be Star Rail. We might do another like Star Rail one after the event or while the event is live, right? Or maybe like a short discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So we could bring back the event point at
Like, obviously, it will be a shorter one then, but we would get to talk about some stuff there. Also, we would at that point get to talk about our experience as endgame players and seeing how, with no side quests anymore, how enjoyable the game is for us, right?
Yes, and if there's any of these topics that you would want us to go more in depth on, for example, I bet a very popular one would be PvP. If you want us to talk more about that and like for me taking the time to research more systems, people's opinions on them, and make that its own video thing, by all means,
let us know.
Ask, because I would love to talk more about Star Rails. So if there's anything I could research on to see how it could work, by all means comment on it. If you think we did a great job with certain topics, like yes, I think you explained all of this like perfectly. I agree fully. Well, yeah, tell us. Like, by all means.
Tell us. But, and on that note, of course, as well, Matt's channel will also be linked in the description down. Again, a little reminder for those who made it all the way to the end. Make sure to go ahead and check it out. I don't know if he's ever planning on making Star Rail content or any kind of discussion stuff on it, but worst case scenario, I'll drag him and his cat back onto here so we can have another talk.
On YouTube, no, but Twitch, very, very likely I need to sit down and find the time to do it.
Basically, yeah, you did recently ask on Twitter if we would be interested in seeing you stream.
Yeah, streaming Star Rails.
Did you even check back on that tweet if anybody responded?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I had three or four people, including you. So.
Yeah, nice. Just needed to double check. But alright, thanks everybody so much for joining on in. We really appreciate it. If you guys made it all the way to the end, even if you skipped some parts, fair enough. Thank you so much. I think I'll be adding timestamps to this, so people who maybe don't want to hear about our initial impression, current impression, and all that kind of stuff can skip maybe to like co-op or something, you know. That could be a thing. But I want to thank everybody so much for joining on in. I really appreciate it. IPOS in 519. That's been GG Matt, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.